This theme of higher long-term rates is spooking that market boom.
Spooking the markets, right.
Yeah.
So what it's all about is markets are booming because of low interest rates partly, and also the amount of money that's being pumped into economies by governments here and in the United States and around the world. But then what the worry is about inflation. If all of a sudden you get prices rising too quickly, if the economies get too hot, then the central banks have to step in and raise interest rates. Now, here in Australia, the government is controlling interest rates out to 3 years. They've said for 3 years, you're going to have low rates. And pretty much that's what we've got.
And you buy that?
You buy that because you can see it in the charts that they're defending it. And every time it starts to try and go up, it comes back down. That's the Reserve Bank spending money defending those interest rates. But on the other side of it, what you can see is the 10-year government bonds here, and especially in the United States, are rising and rising very quickly. So say, for example, our 10-year bond rates have gone from 0.72% in October last year to 1.77% this morning. So they're up more than 1 percentage point in that time. Now, that would normally scare markets, and that's what's happened in the United States overnight. So what you've had is the Federal Reserve has been out talking about this. It hasn't calmed the markets. If anything, it's made things worse. So the Dow Jones at one stage down 700 points, now down around 1%, 346 points. Our markets will be lower today on the opening. Maybe not as dramatic as that, but this is the big thing at the moment. It's about those long-term interest rates, because if long-term interest rates are going up, generally you find asset prices are going down.
So the fact that the Senate has advanced negotiations with its COVID relief package, $2 trillion
That's right.
relief package, will that have some kind of positive... that kind of turn it around?
Well, what that does, oddly, is even fuels it more, because what that does is pumps even more borrowed money into the economy, heats it up even more, creates the potential of inflation, which creates the potential of interest rates in the longer term going up.
Okay.
And of course, if interest rates start to go up in the future, lots of people borrowing money, that gives real concerns of another crash down the track.
Righto.
That's what they're talking about.
Okay, a little lesson is that even in these boom times, some businesses can really struggle. So tell us the story of the Australian business financing company Greenwood.
So there's a group of farmers on the rich list called the Greenwood family. They are in Bundaberg. They're sugarcane farmers, but they're also the biggest growers of sweet potatoes in Australia. This bloke, Lex Greenwood, is one of those brothers. He goes to the world with an idea of how to finance small and medium-sized business. He booms in Europe in particular. And what happens is he ends up getting a CB, the equivalent of an Order of Australia from the UK. He's absolutely flown. He's got David Cameron, the former Prime Minister of the UK, as one of his advisors. But what's happened is that there's been credit that's been extended to him by Credit Suisse. It's now been denied. The German bank actually closed his operations down for a little while. But one of the bigger problems here is that who he has financed is also significant for here and around the world. One of the key people who he's helped to finance is Sanjeev Gupta, who, remember, is the man who saved the British steel industry and saved Whyalla here in Australia, the Whyalla Steelworks. And so the big question now is, with issues at Greensill, it's teetering on the brink. What happens to those people who have had their finance from Greensill? And so this whole model of financing these small, effectively it was factoring. So in other words, if you were owed some debts by a big company, they'd take it on, give you 5% less, give you the money now and go and collect the debt from that big company in the future.
Okay, well, you mentioned Whyalla there. So is it true that there are even concerns for jobs in Whyalla at the steelworks there because of those troubles at Greensill?
Well, this is the whole point about Sanjeev Gupta. If he's got a lot of finance, and he has got a lot of finance, out of, say, for example, places like Greensill, what happens if he can't get that finance extended? What happens to the jobs there? Certainly in the UK at the moment, there are grave concerns. So this is Sanjeev Gupta here we're looking at. He's the man who really has come into Australia, but he's also the man who was seen to have rescued the British steel industry. And so you've got reports right now saying that if he can't get that credit extended, if he can't find really, if you like, the means to be able to get the future credit, then there are questions about jobs both in the UK and potentially here in Australia as well.
Okay. Ross Greenwood, good to talk.
No problems at all.
Soon.